Great. I'm great. I love the hat. That's awesome.
Thank you. It's my little fedora. It's hat season, fall, hat season.
Yeah.
You got the scarf, scarf
Very
and hat
kidding.
season.
It's that time, isn't it?
Yep. It's my favorite time of year. That's why one of the reasons I love living in Cleveland and the Midwest, because not every, state gets the 4 seasons like we do. So,
Oh, wow. Are you from here, from Ohio?
yep. I was born in Toledo, but I was raised in Cleveland. So I'm
Oh, yeah.
pretty much from
Same thing.
Cleveland.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You know the weather. You know the weather. It's about to get vicious in a minute.
I know. I don't want to think about that. I'm just taking my time soaking in the fall because it just got here since we have such a late summer. So.
Oh, well, I'm so glad you was able to join us tonight. Thank you so much. I
You
know
too.
we
Thank
tried
you.
before, but we had a
I
few
know.
engineering issues, but we got them together.
We overcame.
We overcame.
Yep.
So Nicole, the day I met you, you were at that event, and it was a wonderful event. We're talking about what entrepreneurship,
Yep.
and I was down there to see one of my friends named Monet, and she was hosting one of her sessions, and we had a little breakout time. So I went around and looked at all the vendors because I love checking out vendors. And I don't know why people don't. They'll sit there in their seat all day long, but go look and talk to the vendors. Golly. And I ran across you and I was so happy. So, girl, how long have you been an author?
Well, I published my first book in 2014. So 7 years
Wow.
ago, yeah, I self-published my first book, How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from
Mhm.
Misguided Love. And then about a year later, I published the second one, How to Overcome Heartbreak Stories That Heal. And then I took a break and then just recently published my third, Stories for the Urban Soul. So it's been 7 years. I've been blogging since 2012, almost 10
Mhm.
years, and that's where I got started with writing. But, writing books has been a journey because my first two books were nonfiction, and now I'm doing
Mhm.
fiction, and I'm working on my first novel, and I have an ebook coming out too. So it's definitely
Oh,
been a
wow.
journey that's been evolving.
Oh, shoot, it's time to turn those books now into a movie. Hold on.
Oh, goodness.
I can see a series, can't you?
I definitely, my friends would agree with you.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just like 175.
Okay. Okay. Well, you're
Mm-hmm.
still young enough. That can happen. Don't worry. I'm gonna hook you up with a couple of people I do know, some
Okay.
screenwriters, and they're doing some great works out there.
Well, I
So
appreciate the encouragement and the contact.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Mike Berry, he does a lot of mental health things and
Hmm.
storylines. So he's pretty good. You Google Mike Berry, and
Okay.
also I got a couple of more too. Terrence Spivey down there at Karamu, and
Oh, wow. Okay.
he's a fantastic guy. He's been on my show a couple of times, and he's written some wonderful plays. So he could
Okay.
turn from a book to a play to a movie. Go through
You never
stages.
know.
You
You never
never know.
know. Someone asked me if I could write a play or if I've ever written a play, and I'm like, no. I
Mhm.
feel like that's its own craft. So,
So your relationship. So how did you get into this particular topic though? Of all the
well,
books you could have written cookbooks, anything. Why this? Why relationship?
I know. It really was my blog. So the name of the blog is betterthanwine.net, and you can actually pull it up on my website, NicoleDMiller.com. But I wrote a blog post called How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from Misguided Love, which is the same title as my first book. I got
Mhm.
such a response on that post. People from around the world, people of all different ages. So many people go through heartbreak. Like, it's
Yeah.
rare for people to be exempt. So it just really resonated with a lot of different social classes and race. I mean, it transcends all of that, right? So
Yeah.
once I wrote the blog, I just felt like God was like, that's the name of your book.
Mhm.
And I was hesitant. I was so hesitant, but that prompting was so strong. And for me, it was just like, I have to think about who this could help. Like, I need to put myself to the side. I need to not be so fixed on my vulnerability, my insecurities, and think about the people that this will help. So that's really
Mhm.
what it was about. It was about helping others, and it really was inspired from that blog post.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good though. Wow.
Yep.
Relationships are so touchy.
Yeah.
and it hits all genres. I mean, from Black, white, Asian, it don't matter who. You've been in
Right.
all, everybody's been in a relationship of some sort.
Right.
From even the LGBTQ community,
Yes.
they've had their own relationships. So,
Mm-hmm.
but what I want to really say though about relationships, like when you touch on the relationships, are you encouraging? What are you trying to focus on more so? Showing that the aspect of what negative or positive or what can happen in between or what?
Well, the very first book is more about my personal story of healing from a
Uh,
breakup. Yeah, it was
okay.
more of a testimonial
Mhm.
experience of healing from a breakup from a really serious relationship that I had really young. So I
Okay.
share with the reader, it's very transparent, very down to earth. Just share with the reader tips that helped me in my journey of healing and what could help them. And
Yeah.
then in the sequel, How to Overcome Heartbreak, Stories That Heal, I share more of my journey with relationship stuff. And you touched on like healthy relationships. That was
Uh-huh.
around the time frame where I started learning about my own toxicity, not just in romantic relationships, but just in friendships and
Yeah.
parenting and child relationships, and just
Oh,
owning my own unhealthy behaviors and dysfunctional behaviors, and why was I attracting the same types of relationships, and having a lot of revelations that I kind of share with the reader. And then I interview 7 women and 4 men, and I share their stories as well, so that you're bound to relate to someone's story, even if you can't relate to mine. So it's more of
yeah.
inviting the reader into my own self journey of how I'm evolving into a healthier person and how I'm becoming a person that wants a healthier relationship.
So book number one, pretty much about your testimony. And
Exactly.
that's here from there. Okay, got you, got you.
Yep.
Wow. Now, okay, I can see how that starts off. Yeah. Because even with relationships, you got all different levels. You got teen relationships because they have
That's
their
true.
own. Oh my
And I
God.
was a teen when I first got my heart broken. I started
Uh-huh.
dating my ex when I was only 17, you know, so I
Yeah.
was a teen, but just like very serious, very,
Mhm.
my first love, and you're all in and no holds
Yeah.
bar.
Yeah.
So not to minimize the teen love because it still hurts, and it's nothing else. It probably hurts worse because it's your first one and you're not holding
Mhm.
back. So,
Hey, I think it hurts even going down to middle school and elementary because I tell you,
ah,
they have their own little different love
yeah,
thing. They don't know really
yeah.
what love is, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
their infatuation of, and
Yeah.
they get hurt too. They get hurt too, and they need
I
to know
do
how to
remember
focus out.
I had some little crushes back then. Probably had my first crush in middle school. Still remember the kids too, so I can relate to that.
Yeah, yeah. Remember the kids, and also, you got relationships when they're little like that on their teacher. It don't have to
Oh
be another
yeah.
student. They can be their older teacher or something. I remember
That is true.
I had a couple, so I know.
Yeah. Yep. That is true.
Then you can move on up now to seniors. Believe it or not, seniors
Mm,
go through another
yeah.
level of their own relationship. They've been around the block a couple of times, and sometimes some of them think they'll never find love again, but then
Yeah.
they do. Then they do.
And I think what I'm learning is as I'm getting older, my friends are getting older, as you're aging, but you could still be in really good health. It's just your
Yeah.
physical body aging, your mental health, your internal self is still active, quick
Yeah.
witted and agile and all of those things sharp. So you're still looking for love. You're still looking for a partner to live life with. Just because you're older doesn't mean that you still don't want love.
Exactly. That's the truth, though, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. This is awesome, though. So now, are you, on a personal note, are you in a relationship now?
I am not currently in a relationship. I
Okay.
definitely am taking a little bit of a break. So
Yeah.
I had a injury occur probably too long ago, but like a few months ago,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it slowed me down on all aspects of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you.
Definitely the social arena, but also even with business. So I'm just kind of getting back into that. And this is how I know I'm healing because I was like, I wonder, what so and so's doing. You start
Yeah.
thinking about those things. But, that's my injury has been such a focus, and healing my body has been such a focus. So Not currently.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I always say, no rush and nothing, and just pray on it, and it will happen. I
Yeah.
always tell my girls, don't look for it. Please don't look. 'Cause sometimes it never works out. Just let
Hmm.
it flow.
Agreed. Agreed.
So
Yes.
tell us about the second book. What's the title of it?
So the second book was the sequel, How to Overcome Heartbreak: Stories That Heal, where I
Oh,
interviewed 7 women and 4 men. The
okay.
most recent book, which is my third book, is Stories for the Urban Soul. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so proud of this book, Laura, because it's my first fiction book. It's a
Mm-hmm.
compilation of short stories and novellas, which are just short novels, and it also has some poetry in it. So I do a little
Oh,
poetry. Yeah, I did an event a couple weeks ago. So that's been cool. And what's been really dope is to be able to include my poetry in my fiction writing through my characters. So I do that in the first 2 stories. And I had so much fun with this project because I literally started writing short stories probably about 3 years ago, thinking
mm-hmm.
I was just having fun. Went to a writer's group, had someone review it. She was a great writer, and she was like, this is good, Nicole, but no one's going to feature it in a journal. Like, it's too long. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Oh,
But
okay.
fast forward 3 years, I'm in a pandemic. I have more time on my hands. I start writing
Mhm.
again. And I end up having 10 short stories and novellas that I can put together into this book. And it's
Wow.
interesting for her to have that perspective that, oh, no one's going to feature this. Well, what she didn't know was that I would feature it in my own book. So don't
Yeah.
let anyone else try to stop your dream, or they're just,
There you go.
they mean well, but they don't have the full picture of your calling and destiny. You have to be in tune with that. So I basically ended up finishing it in the pandemic, thinking I was going to submit it to this. It was a publishing company that was allowing Black authors to publish their work or submit their work for review without without an agent. And so I
Okay.
was getting ready for that. Come to find out, they didn't even accept my genre. So I just think that was a
Oh.
deadline God was using for me to birth it out when I was supposed to. And I got with my editor, and I thought I was just ready. And she was like, I think
Mhm.
there's more that's going to come out of you with this. So I'm like, oh, what is she talking about? I'm
Okay.
ready. So I sat with it, and she was right. I started just going deeper, developing the characters more. My writing was going to another level, and I ended up
Mhm.
sitting with it for probably 2 more months, had her review it. She did the edits, and I sat with it for several more months, was making all of these adjustments until finally I felt like this is it. And I published it in May, and it's my baby
Mhm.
because it's intertwining my two loves, spirituality and Black culture. So you meet these
Oh.
characters, and you and I, we've been talking about relationship stuff. And so my first 2 books are nonfiction, so they're telling true stories. But what's really cool
Mhm.
is that in my fiction writing, I still incorporate these real life issues. So in this book, you're going to find characters dealing with relationship stuff, divorce, single parenting, social
Mhm.
injustices, college life. I have a couple of college students in there. So you're going to find these
Oh.
Black people dealing with real life issues, but it's going to be a spiritual, encouraging experience. They're going to find love. They're going to find hope. They're going to be healed. They're going to grow. And so it's really inviting the audience into this new level of writing that I'm walking into with fiction. So even though I've been, doing the nonfiction, and it's definitely been, powerful and encouraging, I know that
Mhm.
the fiction writing, using the creativity, I have less boundaries. Like, I can really incorporate my supernatural experiences through these characters that I know other people can relate to.
Wow. Heck yeah. That is now did so you took some workshops on writing. Is there anything else you used
So
or
that's the
anyone
thing.
else who guided you?
Cleveland is so awesome because I feel like it's
Yeah.
such a hub of creativity. Like you mentioned, the Kiramu House, and I remember taking dance
Yeah.
classes there and acting classes there as a kid. And so with writing, I've definitely, utilized so many of the workshops that were in Tremont on the west side. With the
Yeah.
pandemic, they were on Zoom. It's like I think it was Literary Cleveland. They do their workshops and things, and
Mhm.
then
Heard of them.
having Zoom really took the limits off because there's a New York writers group that they were doing workshops on Zoom.
Mhm.
So now I'm doing these workshops with people that aren't even in the state or the city. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
variety of different types of workshops. So you can do workshops on general writing, you can do workshops on poetry and prose, you can do workshops on short stories and essays. So I definitely have taken advantage of a lot of the writing groups because I feel like the more you practice your craft, the more you're going to develop. And I don't know if too
Mm-hmm.
many people know this, but if you're a writer, that means you need to be an avid reader. And so as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that I would be a good writer because I loved to read as a child. Like I started reading when I was little. That was a passion that my grandmother and I shared. So I would be reading like adult novels with her, not knowing
Yeah.
that they were a little bit more advanced, but I think it helped to help me with my vocabulary and just kind of, advance me in that way. So yeah, for me, it's reading. It's reading and writing. And you read good literature, you learn techniques, you learn more vocabulary, you expand your vocabulary, and then your gift is sharpened, by converging with other artists, other writers.
Mm-hmm. I believe that too. And you're right about reading. It sharpens your vocabulary and broadens everything, as far as your speech is concerned and knowing words you never heard before. Because I was always
Yeah.
told too when I was little, you don't know it, circle it and look it up. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
you learn and develop your skill. I have a friend, I don't know if you heard of her, Rhonda Crowder. Now, Rhonda has a workshop. She used to work for the Call and Post. And then
Okay.
she went on further with under the tutelage of Connie Parker, because when she's now rest in peace in heaven. But Connie was over the Calling Post, and she kind of took Rhonda up under her wing. So Rhonda developed and started doing the I don't know if you went to it before, Who's Who in Black Cleveland. And
Mm.
you have to get into Who's Who in Black Cleveland. It's a book, right? About so
Okay.
thick. And it's everybody you can think of, that's who's ever is in that book. So it'd be good to connect you to her. She has a workshop, and I haven't been able to get up to listen to it maybe just once. It's 5:30 in the morning. I just can't do it, but I would love to just
Yeah,
to
I feel
get an
you on that
idea of
one.
what's going on. But yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to Google her, Rhonda Crowder.
Okay.
And I'm going to send you her link and see if I can connect you guys. But she has tons of connection, especially dealing with the call and post.
Okay.
So yeah, you get into Who's Who, and that's going to open up some big doors for you. It really will. Trust me on that.
Well, I appreciate it. Open the
So
doors.
your blog. Oh,
Yes.
you're welcome. Your blog. Now, how can people reach out to your blog? If they want to see your blog, what do they go to?
So the blog site is betterthanwine.net. However, you can access it through my website, NicoleDMiller.com.
NicoleDMiller.com.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Very
So
good,
on my
very good.
website, all of my books are available. You can learn more about Stories for the Urban Soul. There's a free
Mhm.
preview that you can find out if you're still interested, but you're not sure. You can get a 20 dialogue question. There's a free worksheet for that if you sign up for that. There is a newsletter that I release once a month. I actually just released the monthly newsletter for October or November, I guess, today. And
Mhm.
my blogs come out every Monday morning. So those are weekly.
So in the newsletter, what do you talk about in the newsletter when you send it out to people?
Yep. So I talk about everything that's happening with me and my authorship. I've had a lot of events the last few months. As you
Mhm.
said, we met at the Ignite Light event that was
Yeah.
held by my good friend Alicia Ellis. She's doing big things. And so yeah, I do like pop-ups. I did the poetry event. I just get in where I fit in, Laura. Like I try to be
Mhm.
there. If I got
Yeah.
to be there with my crutches, which I did go to one of my events last month. It was a fashion show and a play, and I had a table there.
Yeah.
And I was there on my crutches in my boot. I wasn't driving. People had to drive me, pick me up, help me set up. And my people are so good, they got me there. So I talk about all of those things. Usually the events that I've done, the opportunities I've had, I let my audience know of interviews like this that are coming up. and especially what projects I'm working on. Like I said, I have an ebook coming out. It's going to help other people who want to self-publish, since I have some of that experience under my belt. And I just let them know, like, this is what I'm doing, this is what's coming, this is what happened, and you're here on the ride with me. So I want to keep you informed. You're investing in me, so I want you to know where your investment's going.
Oh, that's smart. That's really good and very helpful. So when
Yes.
you're writing a book, you also incorporate a illustrator. You have to get somebody to do like the cover page for you, or does that come up from you, or who helps you with that?
So I don't have that gift. I do have to outsource it, and I have used freelancers. So for Stories for the Urban Soul, I definitely used a freelancer. She did an amazing job. She totally manifested the vision that I had for that project. So yeah, I've used freelancers for all of my projects.
That's good. I mean, we can't all do it all, of course,
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
understand that exactly. If you did, you'd be a powerhouse and a triple threat. I mean,
a lot. And I actually have another business. I do bookkeeping. So I do bookkeeping for small business owners, and I do taxes. So I do small business taxes and individual taxes. So those are my two hats. I'm sticking to those two hats. I don't need any more hats.
You can really do a book on taxes, because I'm telling you, it's a lot of things people don't know from the very beginning of just the do's and the don'ts.
Yeah. I've done some workshops where I try to educate small business owners, because a lot of it is making sure that you have everything recorded for tax time. So you don't want to wait until the last minute and you're scrounging to get all this information. It's like, no, you should be doing X, Y, and Z throughout the year so that you're ready at tax time.
Yeah. And
so the website, I was
Mm-hmm.
just going to say, the website for my tax information is abnbookkeepingllc.com. And the name
Say that
stands
again
for
one more time. One more time.
ABN Bookkeeping LLC.com.
LLC.com. Okay.
So it's actually named after my mom, my grandma, and me. So my mom's name was Elena, my grandmother's name is Barbara, and then me, Nicole. So ABN Bookkeeping LLC.com. Yeah. So you can go on there. I do 30-minute free consultations for small business owners, and do consultations for taxes.
Oh man, you are a genre. I'll tell you, I like that. You know what? And you have to be in this world. I tell you, really do. And social media helps a lot to get your info out there.
Definitely does. Definitely.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that about you. See there, that's good. And that's why I like putting on people on the show, so they can talk about everything they do, how people can reach out to them, what started them. Just encourage people along the way, because the talent is there. We just have to bring it out or need that opportunity,
Right.
And I really do feel during the COVID-19 pandemic, I mean, you had nothing but time to reinvent yourself. Everybody,
I told you I wrote Stories for the Urban Soul, but I also started my first novel. So I literally wrote 2 books during the pandemic. So the novel hasn't been released yet.
2 books.
Yeah, I'm still in the editing stages of the novel, but I got a good draft. I got a good draft done during the pandemic.
Okay. When you think that's going to be about another 6 months to a year?
I would say so. I would say by next fall. That's the goal.
Next fall. Okay. That's the goal. Okay.
And of course, if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll be in the know for that.
Exactly. I like that. So they go to your website, and it's a place on there that they can sign up for the newsletter, correct?
Yes. If you go to my website, go to the blog tab, you click on any blog post and scroll down, you'll see a subscribe to my newsletter little box that you can go to.
Oh man, this is awesome. I love this too. And you're such an inspiration for young people, especially, because there's so much out there, so much to be done. And I don't know, a lot of people, young people, they found so much negativity to get into. And I say if they can just turn that around, they would be genius.
What's so amazing to me are the younger people, because I'm in the late 30-somethings group, but the younger people that are doing this. So I went to a pop-up event about 2 weeks ago. It was like Beechwood area. The lady hosting it, and I say the term lady loosely, but the young woman hosting it was 21 years old. The name of her company is Stuck Up Apparel, and she killed
Wow.
it. She killed it. There were 22 vendors. So many of them were young 20 somethings, mid 20 somethings. And they were just on their grind. One young man I talked to had an apparel company. He didn't even go to college. He went straight into owning his own business with his friends, and that's what his path was. And I literally I had great sales. I mean, all of those pop-up events are not always successful. I've had my fair share. And she did a phenomenal job. She took care of us. We had everything we needed, and we made money. And I made amazing contacts at that event. I was
Yeah.
in awe. I was like, these young people are killing it, okay, in Cleveland.
I
Yeah.
believe that too. I really believe that. Wow.
Yeah, I was impressed.
It's a young man. Oh, sound like commercial time. It's the young man we're going to talk about when I get back. Maybe you've heard of him, Larice Purnell.
I
And
haven't, no.
Larice, oh yeah, I had to hook you up with him too.
Okay,
He
okay.
created the real Black Friday. So he tried to get a lot of entrepreneurs together, and they do
Okay.
things once a year. So when we come back, we'll talk about that. And it's all about networking. It's not so much what you know, it's almost who you know.
It really is.
We'll be back and just stay tuned, people. More of author Nicole D. Miller. We'll be right back. So what do you see yourself in another 5 years? What's going on with Nicole?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's around the corner too. The way time's flying, you look up,
Man.
5 years is nothing. Like, woo.
Yeah, I'm definitely focused on sustainability and growth for both my businesses. I want to be in a position where I'm also opening doors for others, as you yourself are in that position.
Yeah.
So probably be really moving with a self-publishing company. So I'll be helping indie authors with publishing their works, and definitely want to be settled with the family and all that jazz. Do some more traveling. I love to travel.
Yeah.
And I think other than that, it really is just about growing, sustainability, building, and providing open doors for other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that too. I don't know if you remember Ramona Robinson. She was on 3, then she went to 19. And she left 19 because, man, she wrote her book, a couple of books. And the next thing I know, she was left and she just started touring with her books.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's doing real good.
Nice. That's awesome.
That is too. I mean, she goes everywhere, all over the United States. So you can do that too as well. You know, she gave up the news business. Think about it. Just left.
Wow.
Left. And now it's all about writing and books.
And today is, I don't know if you know this, Laura, but today is National Authors Day. So happy National Authors Day to all the authors out there. Yes.
Oh, woo, yes. Let's celebrate them. That's amazing.
Because like you said, it's not easy. You know, it's not easy to write a book. I feel like I've been gifted to write pretty efficiently, but you know, you still are going through a journey and a process in some way, shape, or form. And then to be an indie author, to build that audience, to build that platform is its own grind. So definitely give it up for the authors who were vulnerable enough to share their stories and believed in themselves enough to manifest their dreams.
I had no idea. See there, that's wonderful. I did not know that. Yeah. So I know quite a few authors. And so what made you went self-publishing, or you went through an agency?
I actually have self-published all 3 of my books. I thought I was going to do publishing for the last book. And then when that door didn't open, I looked into some other doors and then decided, you know what, I'm going to do this myself. I'm already an entrepreneur. I already know some of the ropes, like what's holding me back. So that's the avenue that I've taken, is self-publishing.
Okay, that's good too. Have you thought about maybe even connecting with, or have you ever reached out to like Simon and Schuster?
I don't know if I've reached out to them directly. Normally for publishing companies, you need a literary agent first. So I have looked into literary agents, and that's another thing. You want to find the right fit. So my genre is spiritual fiction, and I need someone that kind of understands that niche. which is its own journey to find the right partner. And that could happen in the future, but honestly, there's a lot of, paperwork involved and red tape involved, and you have to read the fine print when it comes to business. So I know from my business hat that I definitely want full percentage of my sales. I want the royalties that are due to me. I want all the rights to copywriting rights, and all of that stuff comes into play. So you kind of got to weigh that when you're an indie author if you're looking at being traditionally published.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
You got to do your research.
Yeah. And you say your stories is more, especially Urban Soul, is more intertwines more on a spirituality.
Yes. And I have it here.
Black culture. Yeah. And I love the Black culture piece.
I have it here.
It's like down to earth, in sort of way. It draws that reader, into that that urban part of you, that what I want to say, that urban throwback, like with music and fashion and everything,
language. It's just us. It's like for us, by us. It's everything that's a little. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's kind of like everything that makes Black people, from our spirituality to the way we say things, to the way we dress, to our hairstyles always changing, and we just naturally have that cool factor. So I just want to implement that in my writing, but also show that we're cool because God is cool. Like, we're made in his image and this is not apart from him. So we're this way because he made us this way.
Right. Oh man, that is so cool. So let's see the book again. Let's see the cover again.
Yeah, Stories of the Urban Soul.
Woo! Now, is that a hard copy?
This is a hard copy, and I actually do have a different cover for the Kindle version. The Kindle version is available on Amazon, and that has a different cover because there are a few male stories in here, and this is clearly a feminine, imagery here. And so I want to be able to appear to my male readers as well. So I put a different cover on the Kindle. And the Kindle version is available on a variety of platforms. It's Apple, it's Target, it's Walmart, And if you do get the Kindle version, and even this version, please, please, please put up a review on Amazon. It is so hard for indie authors to get recognition because we'll have people read our books and they'll think it's great, but they'll never put up a review. And if we get enough reviews, then Amazon will start pushing it as a bestseller. So that's one thing I do ask my readers to do.
Wow. Okay. I never thought of that either.
Yep. Okay, and I'm the same way. I'll read something and I won't put up a review.
Right.
So I
know. Yeah. I got you. And those reviews, they help. They really do.
Yeah, because they'll start marketing it. You won't have to market it. They'll market it for you.
Wow. So what's your thought on, since we're talking about Urban Soul and your book, what's your thought on colorism?
Well, you brought up a good topic because I literally just released my blog post today called Confessions of a Dark-Skinned Woman. And it is about colorism. It is about my journey with colorism, being darker skinned, some of the immature comments that were made to me from others in the Black community, from men that I've dated. And I kind of explore some of my journey in that. So definitely check out the blog post if you guys are interested in learning more at NicoleBMiller.com, Confessions of a Dark-Skinned Woman. But I do think colorism is alive and well. I think there's a lot of focus right now on racism, which I'm appreciative of. I think it's been finally due. But we still have some internal healing that we need to do within the Black community regarding our race that stems from slavery and being divided by the hue of our skin tone. So in short, I do think colorism is alive and well. Now, what I will say is I feel like as I've been navigating adulthood, I do think that some of the experiences I had were because of, immaturity and just kids being kids. And I do think that we are starting to love our skin more. I think we're starting to love darker skin more, love our beauty more. But I still think we have a long way to go. There's more healing, there's more dialogue. And I'm hoping that even as we're healing and moving forward with the whole, social injustices and things that are coming to light, that there will be a focus internally at some point for the African-American community to heal within itself.
We have to, because we still have that thing with the light skin and dark skin sisters,
I know. It's interesting. It's interesting because I really do think it stems from self-hatred. I think that if we can't embrace the various tones of our own skin, it's because we don't like the darker skin ourselves. And I think that that's sad. But again, I've been affirmed greatly because of my skin. So I do see it as us healing and us growing, and there's just more healing and growth that needs to come.
Oh man, I'm so proud of you, Nicole. I tell you, I'm so glad I met you.
Oh,
it's a pleasure.
So
it's a pleasure. So we're gonna stay connected. I want you back on the show again, especially when we get that novel together.
Oh Lord. No pressure, no pressure.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. I tell you, you are a phenomenal woman and your books are going to flourish. And I'm going to definitely hook you up with everybody that I know.
Thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And that's it for now, people, with Laura Cowan's Empowerment Hour. You stay tuned every Monday right here on voiceitradio.com. And you can see this segment again by going to voiceitradio.com. Go all the way down to my show and click on, okay? I'm so glad you tuned in. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to come and tune in with us tonight. We appreciate it. So we will see you again next week. Same time, same station. Take care. Bye, Nicole.
Bye-bye.